it's so hard. Yeah, dude. And now you've just made things harder. And that's the thing, you look at the difficulties that we put upon ourselves. We make things so much harder because we're so afraid of just a little bit of poison. In other words, you can take a little bit of poison right now and struggle, but then you become so much stronger. Or you can take a whole bunch of poison later and it's gonna kill you. But do people live in a world? Like, is there television available to us? Are there movies available to us? Are there other people available to us? Is there a whole society available to us? I asked that question because, like, there is a lot in what you just said. Like, to start off by saying we can't escape who we are. And then it went to, well, it's hard. And then it went to, but for some people it's not that easy. See how we go from impossible to not that easy. But what is easy in life? And I really mean that. Like, there are things that we say, we might think of some things that are easy. Like, it's easy to do the wrong. It's easy to lie. Yeah, but there's consequences that follow from that. It's easy to do the wrong thing. Yeah, but then you have to live a whole life of covering up those wrong things. And so I don't know that there is an easy thing to do. But very oftentimes I hear this, that's why I kind of zeroed in on it, that when there's something that's difficult to do, and we'll say, well, but it's not that easy to do. Yeah, the right thing isn't always easy to do, but when do we ever accept that the easy thing is the right thing to do? Or that we shouldn't do something because it's not easy? And at some point, some of you may end up at the doctor's office and they may say, hey, turns out bags of hot Cheetos and for your whole life, not the best diet. Like, even saying it like that, not the best. What we really mean is really crappy diet. Oh, that whole thing about never running more than 1.5 miles total in your whole life. Bad, turns out to be bad for your body. Like, we're seeing people now who are like in their 20s who have the bodies of people who are in their 60s because they've never exercised, they've never run, they've never done anything physical. And then we think like, well, it's because I'm not an athlete. You don't have to be an athlete to run, dude. You don't have to be an athlete to be in shape. You don't have to be an athlete to go lift weights. Why should you do these things? Because it's good for your body. And if it's good for your body, it's good for your mind. It's good for your mind. Everything operates better. I'm thinking of these people who I know who are in their 30s who are on cholesterol medication. In their 30s, dude, in their early 30s. They're gonna be on pills for the rest of their life. Not because they did some really crazy shit and they got hurt, or they did some really crazy shit and there's some consequences for it, but because they just didn't exercise, didn't do anything physical. It's funny, some of them, I'm thinking of one person in particular who's, I guess he's in his early 30s, he's on cholesterol medication, and he gives me crap over drinking Diet Coke. He's like, that stuff's gonna kill you. Okay, dude, you need pills to keep you alive right now. Like, you need pills to keep you alive at this point. And I've mentioned it to him before, and he says, well, sorry, we're not all Division I athletes. It's like, really? Those are the two possibilities in life? To be a Division I athlete, or to be a lump of crap sitting on a couch on your computer all day? There's nothing in between there at all whatsoever? And of course there is, but the argument that he's making when he says that to me is precisely that. Well, it's not that easy. Well, it is once you get going. I don't know if any of you guys eat really well, you're really healthy. Once you get used to it, it's not that difficult to do. It's difficult to start doing it. But once you get into that habit, it's like any other habit. Eating crappy food, or as most of us call it, tasty food. Eating crappy food is actually the difficult part after that, because you eat something and you're like, oh God, I feel like crap. I had, whatever they ate. And they had a candy bar, and now they feel like garbage for the rest of the day. It's the complete opposite. And so, but I just kind of zero in on the idea that we think that just because something's not easy, therefore that means we shouldn't be doing it. Or the fact that it's difficult is somehow a relevant excuse. But it's hard, It's like I'm thinking about, my goodness, the videos, I don't know if anybody in here did it. Yeah, a couple of you guys in here did videos for that short story project. The short story projects, the ones who did videos, the videos were outstanding, almost across the board, man. I can't think of anyone that I watched that I didn't enjoy watching, didn't go back and watch again. They were great. The short stories, the conclusions that you guys turned in, I think I've only found like 2 that weren't plagiarized. And then we're shocked. It's like, but it's hard. It's hard to write. Of course it's hard to write. So what do? You make it easier by either not doing it or by cheating on it. It might seem like it's the easy thing to do, but now you don't think that everything I go back and look at now, I have a student from 5th period, 2 students actually from 5th period, who plagiarized on an assignment, called my attention to it, went back and looked at it. My graders didn't catch their last 5 assignments, so I went back and looked at it. They're not gonna pass the class. Now they're gonna have to redo, and by the way, they had B+. Now they're going to redo English 10, which means they have to sit in the classroom for 38 hours doing packet work sometime in the next 2 years. Does that sound like an easier thing to do than what we do in here? But it's so hard. Yeah, dude. And now you've just made things harder. And that's the thing. You look at the difficulties that we put upon ourselves. We make things so much harder because we're so afraid of just a little bit of poison. In other words, you can take a little bit of poison right now and struggle, but then you become so much stronger. Or you can take a whole bunch of poison later and it's gonna kill you. You can work hard right now and develop that character trait, or I guess depend on AI for the rest of your life. Have you not seen enough movies of what that looks like? You know? It's interesting, we get pissed off because we have parents or people around us who don't trust us to do things, and then someone trusts you, and how do you behave? Or we get so upset because people won't trust us to do things. It's like, why would anybody? What have you done to demonstrate that you have the skill set to take care of ourselves? We get upset because we're dependent on our parents for things. You don't think that we make ourselves dependent on things like that? You know? I think I told you I had a student last year. No, year before last, sorry. I can mention her. She's the source of that t-shirt on my wall that says a proud teacher of a Columbia student. She's going to Columbia right now. If any of you guys don't know, that's a really, really difficult school to get into. It's like a 5% acceptance rate. And that was her dream school her whole life. I remember she wasn't going to apply. And then she came to me and she's like, I really like to go to Columbia. And she's like, should I apply? I said, absolutely, 100%. I'll write you a letter of recommendation. She's like, do you think I'll get in? I said, probably not. It's 5%, but someone's gonna get in. And whoever gets in is gonna be someone who applies. Like, they're not gonna reach out to you and ask you. And so she applied and she got in, which is dope. It's dope, and then she gave me that t-shirt. And then she had this like existential terror of AI. She was telling me that she has this teacher who's constantly telling them, you know what, AI is gonna take over all of our jobs. AI is gonna means no future for us. AI is gonna make human, you know, we think like, oh, it's gonna make life easier for us. No, it's not. It's gonna take away our purpose and our meaning in life. I mean, where do you find your meaning and your purpose in life if not in the work that you do? So you want somebody to come along and take away your meaning and purpose in life? What do you think you're going to do? Become an artist? Do you think you become a writer after using AI to write for you? In what way do you think that's gonna make life go better for you? What purpose and meaning do you think is gonna be fulfilled by somebody else doing everything in your life that creates meaning and purpose? And by the way, it's not just AI doing it, it's people who program that. They have a meaning and they have a purpose in life, which is to take away yours. And yet we line up to use it. But anyway, she has this existential terror because she wanted to be a journalist her entire life. And now she knows. You go into ChatGPT and type in to write an article about such and such, feed in the information, and it writes an article in seconds. Something that would normally take you weeks to do. And now she's terrified of that because that's the only direction she has in her life is to do that. And she would tell me that the teacher who she had here who would talk about it, she would get so scared by it, she would have to run out of the room. And she's not like a weak, generally human being. She's a pretty strong girl, actually, in most things. And so she came to me in the second last week of school, and she said, well, I gave in. I go, what do you mean? And she said that she was overwhelmed by a bunch of stuff, and she used it to do her math homework. And I go, oh, How do you feel about that? And she's like, well, it's because, by the way, if you start a sentence with it's because, it's because, you're wrong. You're trying to justify something that you know was wrong. It's because I'm not going to be studying math anyway, and I'm not going to, which by the way is not true. Your first couple of years in college, you are doing math. And I said, but you've already been accepted. Why would you do that? What's the worst that's going to happen? As long as you get a C or better in the class, why not just, do the right thing? And she's like, oh, it's just, she pauses and she looks at me and she goes, because it was easier. I go, easier, cheaper, faster. She's like, yeah. I go, and that's why you're going to be an unemployed journalist the rest of your life. And you're going to be penniless and homeless, and you're going to live in a van down by the river, and no one's ever going to love you, and you'll have no meaning and purpose in life. You'll be on cholesterol medication by the time you're in your 30s. She goes, oh my God, all of that? I go, I don't know. Maybe none of it. But the point is that it's like the thing that she rages the most about is the thing that she then gives into. And then we wonder, like, how did everything go? It's because we give away ourselves. We give away parts of our soul. We give away the things that give us meaning and purpose. We all know what right and wrong is, and yet we're so afraid to call it out when we see what's right and what's wrong. And we say, oh, I don't want to judge. Isn't that a big part of who you are as a human? To stand for something? To stand for values? To stand for principles? Doesn't it piss anybody else in here off when someone does wrong to you and nobody stands up against that person, but instead they kind of treat you like you're the problem because you said something about it? I know, by the way, I know for a fact some of you have undergone this in the past year or two. And it bothers us. And yet, we'll be that person who's afraid to stand for something. And then if you are that person who stands for something, man, you become scary to people around you. Because there's something that you aren't seeking the approval of the herd. It's because, as Bianca said, you've got something deep down inside of you. You've put something down inside of you. It's your principles, it's your values, it's your morals, the things that you're unshakable. If you take if I tie 100 pounds to your hands and have you hold them above your head and push you over, you see how unstable you are? But if I take 100 pounds and tie them to your feet and try to shove you over, you'll see how actually stable you are because you have a strong base. You have something that grounds you to the earth. Those are your principles. Those are your values. If instead you wave them up here and you just kind of, and they're kind of being imposed upon you by people around you, by social expectation, by society, and so your principles are up here, you're really easy to push around and to move around because you just go whichever way society tells you to go. And you might think, that's the easier way to go. Is it though? Because now you have to live with yourself knowing that you're a sellout, knowing that you don't stand for things, knowing that you just kind of go wherever you're pushed around. And there are people who think, well, I can go through life like that. I can see that. But I don't know anybody who actually is happy like this. And I mean like genuinely. Because one of the things that makes life livable is overcoming. It's achieving things. And there's almost nothing that can be more rewarding than to stand for something against what you know to be wrong and to overcome it. And at the very least to achieve that you stood for your principles. And that's why a strong foundation is necessary, a strong grounding, a strong base is so important. Because then you can stand up against whatever is blowing you around up here. Society pushing you around, none of it matters. It never becomes comfortable, maybe. But now you know that you stand for something strongly. And so that's when those are your, not just the persona that you show the world, the face of getting along with society, but the things that you put inside of yourself. Well, I guess I can't say any differently, just to stand for something. Because if you don't stand for something, you're going to fall for anything, man. I mean, I look at society now, and I mean, we believe some weird shit. I don't think we believe it. I think we just say it most of the time. And that's worse, because then we have to almost justify it, because otherwise we feel terrible about ourselves for saying things that we know aren't true. And so, there's nothing deep down inside except what we put there ourselves, the principles, the values, the actions that are based on that. And so make sure that whatever you're putting deep down inside of you, whatever it is that's creating your base, your foundation, that it's actually something that's worth standing for. Because, well, I might have told you once before, twice before maybe, life is suffering. And you don't get to choose not to suffer, but you can choose what you suffer for. I hope you find something that's worth suffering for, something that's worth being grounded for. Questions, comments, concerns, complaints, criticisms, critiques? Happy Monday. I wasn't even going to talk to you. I was just going to stab journals and go, dope. All right. So we have those poems. Next time I see you guys,